Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar together with Hystax. And very excited to be here, obviously, today with all the partners. And I think a few more partners will obviously sign in as we actually start this webinar today. Hystax is a very strong partnership which we have here for the Middle East. I think cloud has become absolute center stage with the recent pandemic which we actually have to deal with. So people want to be extremely flexible in how to operate their IT infrastructure. And obviously, Hystax has helped many of the customers out here to actually take full ownership and control over where they actually have their cloud systems running and how to migrate them and bring them back. And I think that has been really taken absolute center stage for us. And so, yeah, very excited to have, let's say, an interesting 1 hour with all of you. And obviously, it's not just me. I have Edwin Kuss from Hystax with me, as well as Mr. Anatoly from a technical side of Hystax as well. And I hope it will be a very interactive session. I think Edwin will help us a little bit more on how we actually operate this and where you can actually punch in your questions. And here we have Edwin already to my right or to my left, where you see it, and Anatoly just joined in as well, so which is good to have you guys. Thank you so much for making time available, which is really cool. And yeah, I mean, I'm start experimenting with a very new tool here as well, which is good. I like it already, so it's very professional. So thank you very much for setting this all up, and I would like to hand over to Edwin now to say a few more words, and much better words than I did, about what Hystax is all delivering.
Thank you very much, Mario, for this nice introduction. And welcome everybody who is joining us today. Thanks for your time. It's an honor to present to you. My name is Edwin. I'm the head of global sales of Hystax. And then we also have Anatoly. Please feel free to introduce yourself, Anatoly.
Yes, I'm Anatoly. I'm chief engineer of Hystax. So nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Okay, before I show you a little bit more about Hystax, what we are doing, who we are, where we come from, let me just frame the whole thing again. As Mario already said, clouds are still booming. It's obviously not the latest development in the internet. Clouds are there for a long time already, but not spread evenly all over the globe. So while in Frankfurt, Germany, where I'm located, Amazon arrived in 2014. They just arrived in South Africa last year, and somewhere else they are not even yet. So it's still 20 to 30% growth in the cloud business per year. And as Mario said, COVID-19 had an impact on all our businesses, obviously. But in the long run, it even pushes the cloud business. And we have initiatives from Digital Pakistan to Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia, which all lead to switching from CAPEX to OPEX costs. And for this, the cloud is the perfect use case, of course. And whether it's moving into the cloud or between the clouds, back to on-prem, and when you be on cloud, having disaster recovery, having cost control, all this you can get from Hystax out of one hand. And there are people who can say it even better than I, and this is why I show a small video now.
Many times, we take precautions to protect our data by backing it up or sending it off-site. But imagine, what would happen if a disaster makes your entire system inoperable? Even if your data can be retrieved from another location, how long would it take to rebuild your entire IT infrastructure? Days, weeks, months, or years? Imagine how much even an hour of downtime could cost your customer. Or you want to move to a cloud but don't know how to do that and how to roll back if something goes wrong. That's why disaster recovery and cloud migration software is custom inoperable. Even if your data can be retrieved from another location, how long would it take to rebuild your entire IT infrastructure? Days, weeks, months, or years? Imagine how much even an hour of downtime could cost your customer. Or you want to move to a cloud but don't know how to do that and how to roll back if something goes wrong. That's why disaster recovery and cloud migration software is crucial. Why choose Hystax Acura? Support both public and private clouds, any to any scenarios. fully automated cloud migration and disaster recovery, easy to use, consistent replication of all workloads, orchestrated launch of business applications on a target site, smooth integration with partner ecosystem and sophisticated failback, unlimited number of test migrations and failover. Hystax is a company of IT resilience and cloud migration experts with more than 15 years in backup and cloud migration industry in the United States and Europe. Replication of all workloads, orchestrated launch of business applications on a target site, smooth integration with partner ecosystem and sophisticated failback, unlimited number of test migrations and failover. Hystax is a company of IT resilience and cloud migration experts with more than 15 years in backup and cloud migration industry in the United States and Europe. If you are an MSP, cloud service provider, or end customer, it is a product for you. So what are you waiting for? Contact us today and get 3 days setup service.
Okay, so you obviously don't have to contact us today because we are already here. Just talk to us now. You can answer any kind of questions, and we are going to reply immediately, so you don't have to wait until the end for a Q&A session. So if you have a question, just write it in the chat, and myself and I or Anatoly will reply. Yes, so this is the approach for the next 40 minutes. That I'm now going to show some slides. Obviously, we could end the webinar now because the video said everything, but nevertheless, let me rephrase it in my own words. And after this, also still commercial marketing part, Anatoly will show the portal and give you some technical details so that the techies among our audience also get satisfied. So let me share my screen and tell you a little bit more about Hystax. So the view is okay. Can you see my screen in a nice way? I guess so, yes. Anatoly, can you confirm if everything looks nice? Should I make it bigger?
Yeah, sure. We see your screen. Everything.
Okay, perfect. Good. So live cloud migration and cross-cloud disaster recovery. This is where we are focusing on. But times are moving fast. Also, Hystax has always developed its products further. We were founded in 2016, 4 years ago. But now it's not just about moving to the cloud, but also once you are in the cloud, to make you use it in a very effective and affordable way. This is why we added actually another product, which I'm going to introduce today as well. So here again, 4 years ago, but remember the video, we have almost 15 years of experience in disaster recovery as a service, because our founders, they used to have another company where they were offering disaster recovery as a service themselves for more than 10 years, then sold this company successfully to a US company after they have been Gartner leader even in 2016 in disaster recovery as a service, and then founded Hystax with the intention to add on top live cloud migration, because it was the idea, if you know how to do cross-cloud DR, you also know how to move workloads from one cloud to another or from on-prem to the cloud, because it's a very similar flow, obviously. And since then, we did like 80,000 migrations in the last 2 years, because the development of the software took 2 years, 2 years on the market, and more than 80,000 migrations. We have more than 5,000 machines protected, among others, customers of VID, using Alibaba as a target cloud, OpenStack clouds, different ones. Here you see some customers, Airbus, Orange, Burger King, we all know them. So here are the two products. Hystax is the company, as you already understood. And then we have the product Hystax Acura, which is a software which covers two main use cases. One is disaster recovery, and the other one is live cloud migration. And then we have OptScale, which is a cloud cost management platform. And this is brand new. And this is to help you, once you are in the cloud, to also use it in a very effective way. So it's more than just all the other cloud management platforms, CMPs, who focus on cloud cost optimization. What they do is they give you some nice suggestions how you can save money. For example, move some workloads from Google to Alibaba. But if you want to execute these recommendations, how should you do it? You still need to go to a company like Hystax to execute the migration. But since we do this already now, in our console, you get the recommendation and immediately you can execute it yourself using the well-known Hystax migration and IT resilience tools, which are, of course, integrated in the Upscale cloud management platform. And it's more than just the optimization, how to save money, because even after your cloud spend is optimized to the max, you still want to have a forecast for your next invoice. You still want to have a order about your budget, map all resources to owners, to users, see how much every CI/CD or Jenkins job costs you, and all these things. So it's about budget control, about having transparency, forecast and order, and not just optimization. So another approach for a cloud management platform. And if someone is interested, you can talk to us afterwards as well. This is really brand new. But now let's talk about Acura, which is a software for live cloud migration and disaster recovery. We are 100% IT partner-centric, as Mario can confirm. So we hardly have end customers. Our approach to market is via partners. And this is why, of course, we have a partner dashboard, which is multi-tenant capable with different roles, observers, master admin. It can be white labeled. So we are an ISV, an independent software vendor, staying in the back and using our partners to do the professional services, which is still needed. Our software is really great, but it still doesn't do miracles. So someone still needs to do some real work, and therefore we use our partners, which is nice. That's why they love us, because they can make revenue twice. Once by reselling the license, put their margin on top of it, and second, by bringing in their professional services. And in any migration project or DR project, the license fee counts for, let's say, 25%. And 75% still is of the cost block is professional services, also in our case. Any-to-any, that's the most important thing. This is why this slide is interesting. So you see, we cover more platforms than anyone else. On the source side, it's even much more. There's no limitation, only by the space of this graphic. Here you can think of Tencent Cloud, IBM Cloud, Blue Vault from SCCS or whatsoever. Also, the sites, Alibaba can be here as well, Google can be here as well. On the source side, the only precondition, the only requisite we have is that you can install a Windows or Linux machine, which is our replication agent. And this is always a given. So don't care about the source. The question is, where do you want to migrate to? What should be the failover side? There we have the limitations that we need to be integrated. Our software must be integrated in the target cloud because it's running there. You're never ever connected to Hystax as a third party. We don't have a own platform or third party control, the third party cloud which you're connected to. The solution works in an isolated environment using your or your customer's account in the target cloud, and then we deploy servers on the target side and the source side. And this means we need to be integrated, which by now is the case for AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, so the big four hyperscalers, plus many VMware-based, OpenStack, and KVM-based clouds. And this makes us pretty unique because there are not many companies who offer a fully automated process. That's important. We don't talk about some tools or a set of scripts. We talk about a fully automated process for live cloud migration and DR, automated failover, automated failback to a target cloud. There's a question from Edgar Angelo Laresta. Who do you consider as main competitors for the live migration product? The main competitors, Edgar, are the native cloud solutions. So on Azure, it's Azure Migrate. On AWS, it's Cloud Endure. They can do their job very well to their own cloud. They are for free. So these are our main competitors. But for an MSP who has customers and he doesn't know if they all choose Azure as a target, maybe there are some who says, no, we want to go to Alibaba, or we want to Google, or we have another OpenStack cloud in mind, then those native cloud solutions cannot be used, because you cannot use Azure Migrate to Google, obviously. So this is the beauty for our partners, that with one tool, they can handle all the clouds. And if we see not the cloud native tools, and they are only a competition if you talk about migration. But if you talk about disaster recovery, let's stay with Azure. Azure has a nice tool, Azure Migrate for migration. But for disaster recovery, ASR, Azure Site Recovery, has too many limitations. They have a cap with 4 terabytes of data. If you have a machine with 9 terabytes, you want to replicate it, forget it. Simply doesn't work. They can only do until 4 terabytes. They cannot do disaster recovery within the same location, only using different availability zones. They always need 2 different physical locations. And. So they have limitations we don't have, and they are much more expensive. If you talk about disaster recovery, ASR is not 10, not 20, but 100% more expensive than Hystax. Plus, which is understandable, they have a good smooth. The ASR has a good smooth flow to do failover to Azure. But if then you want to fail back, believe me, the flow is less smooth, because once they have you using their resources, they don't want to miss the consumption. So by intention, they make it a little bit difficult to fail back. So these are things you have to have in mind. And if we don't talk about the cloud native solutions, but other competitors who have a migration solution like PlateSpin, Veramedo, for Rackware, cloud for DR, for migration, and for DR, Certo, Veeam, Commvault, DoubleTake, there are a lot of limitations. So none of those are so sophisticated regarding the orchestration, regarding the flexibility, bare metal servers and virtual machines, amount of target platform supported, multi-tenant capable billing portal. Most of them don't have this. I think I answered this question quite well. What do you think, Mario? Should I add something, or is it okay?
Perfect. No, I think you actually nailed it, because I think what is so important, and that was what excited us so much about teaming up with Hystax, is that we could actually see that a lot of cloud projects were actually failing because maybe a wrong decision to go with not the so sophisticated cloud service provider actually failed at the end. And we saw actually people then rolling back entirely and say like, okay, no, cloud is not working. While it wasn't cloud not working, but it was probably the choice people have made with a certain cloud provider, and the fact that they didn't have, let's say, tools in hand, like the upscale, for example, in order to understand, I mean, what is the cost implications? And we have seen that even recently here in the region, where especially the CFOs, they got a little crazy because they suddenly see builds coming in, and they had never real forecasting tools in hand, for example. And the IT department on the other side, they didn't have the option of being so flexible and really taking ownership of where do they want to resonate their cloud infrastructure. And I think Hystax here has actually given us so much of, or given customers so much of freedom. And you mentioned this earlier as well. I think for the partners, the interesting part is really that they can really truly live up to the trusted advisor idea to their clients, and making sure that even if you feel that maybe, yes, your Azure is not the right thing, you have an option with Alibaba Cloud, or you want to be even more in country and you're looking for a local data center. So there's not this problem that you just like, you got signed into it and now you don't know how to get out of it. So I think you answered this. I think obviously everybody, all the cloud providers, they would have probably tools to actually migrate into their cloud, but they don't want to make it easy for you to get out of it again. And this is where you need to take ownership with independent tools and platforms like Hystax.
Yes, and of course, there's a multi-cloud approach, so you have different clouds. So do you want to become an expert in each cloud native tool? So it's better to have one which you can use for all of them. And regarding upscale, you're absolutely right. It's a matter of fact, we had an example with a shipping company last week. The IT manager said, his CTO said, "What is this $7,000 about?" And he didn't know. So he had to spend all night long to search to find that this 7,000 was spent on some testing. Now he has created with upscale a budget only for testing, 5,000, several users who can use it. And if they need more, they have to apply for it, and he can approve it or not, depending on his own budget and stuff like this. So this is really the point that people, the main reason, not only the reason, but the main reason for moving to the cloud is still cost savings. But then they are surprised that they don't save at all because the partners have raised the wrong expectations, obviously. Okay, that's another question. Regarding RPO and RTO, this is what I would answer anyhow when I talk about the DR, but I can tell it to you right now, Amir. RPO and RTO. RPO is 5 minutes on Windows and 3 minutes on Linux. This is the default realistic number we can give you, but there's an option where you can get it even down to seconds. So it will never be 0 seconds because it's not active-active, it's active-passive disaster recovery. But if you take one snapshot, one restore point directly after another, we call it continuous data replication, then you get 40 seconds RPO on Windows and 7 seconds on Linux. Most RFPs I've seen, they demand RPO of 15 minutes. So it's 5 minutes, which is the default number. You're already 3 times better off. And with 40 seconds, obviously, you can only win. And RTO is even better because RTO is just the booting time of the machines. Since we don't use object storage, where we store the replicated data on the target side, we store them in cloud-native format, in volumes. So when there's a disaster and we have to do the failover, we don't have to go first to object storage and retrieve the data, which delays the RTO always by 1 hour minimum. This is typical Cloud Endure AWS answer. We don't have to go to object storage. We boot directly from the volume. So our RTO is just the booting time of the machines, the time it needs to spin up the VMs in the target cloud, which usually is a question of minutes. Of course, depending on the complexity of the environment, the level of orchestration and other stuff. And then there's another question. What's the opportunity for users who want on-premise and private cloud to be sourced and target with Hystax? What's the opportunity for users who want on-prem and private cloud to be sourced and target? They actually, there are no limitations. So hybrid solutions is the most situation we have. So there's hardly a company who is 100% in the cloud. Most of the enterprises use a hybrid model, some moving to multi-cloud, but hybrid cloud is the typical 90% approach. So on-prem and public or private cloud, sometimes a private cloud on-prem as well. That's not a problem. So it's a cloud solution. So we cannot support, for example, KVM as a target. If it's just a single KVM node on a physical server, it must be KVM with OpenStack behind. We need a cloud as a layer, but not for VMware, as VMware is the way it's done. It's like a cloud, so you can really have on-prem VMware to on-prem VMware migration or disaster recovery as well for VMware. So there's no limitation. You have all the opportunities, on-prem, private, public cloud in each direction with Hystax. Fully flexibility. Let's move on. So regarding the migration, what is good to know, obviously, is that everything happens in the background. So while we replicate the data, which can take a while because it depends on how much data and what's your bandwidth. But since we do run optimization, deduplication, compression, it doesn't impact your operations. It has not a lot impact of your bandwidth. So whether it takes 3 days or 1 week or 1 month to replicate the data, it doesn't matter. It happens in an isolated environment in the background. And it doesn't depend on us. If you want to have it faster, buy more bandwidth from your internet provider, because it's pure mathematics, how long the replication takes, but it happens in the background anyhow. We can also offer agentless migration, which is cool in case of the source being VMware. We don't even have to install agents in each server. We just deploy another small virtual machine on the hypervisor level or infrastructure level close to the servers, and they detect all the other machines around it and then starts replication. This is called external agents or agentless migration. You can run as many test migrations as you want. There's no downtime, as said, during the whole replication and testing phase, because at the end of the day, your customer doesn't buy a specific migration solution from Hystax. It could also be double take, whatever. He should not care if he works with his trusted partner, VAD. They must rely that they have chosen the right vendor on the back end. What they want to have is the confidence that all their workloads run in the same stable and flawless way on the new target site as it was before. And until they don't have this confidence, we just continue testing. Unlimited amount of test migrations. And we support also physical servers, not just virtual machines, also bare metal physical servers are supported. The only downtime we have is when we do the final cutover. So let me show you the stages, which are the same for DR, like for migration. The software is the same, the flow is the same anyhow. So obviously first you have to assess the workloads, look, what do you want to migrate, what can be migrated, operation systems, kernel versions. Our software does part of this pre-assessment, but here we need our partners who bring in their professional services. Someone needs to recreate the networking on the target side, because we do not only migrate data, we also migrate metadata like subnets, IP addresses, MAC addresses, but still Hystax cannot migrate firewalls, VPNs. So these parts of the networking infrastructure, our partner has to recreate, or the customer himself if he wants, on the new target site, and then our migration solution can kick in. We run test migrations, and then that's the beauty of a migration in comparison to a disaster, that you can plan it, so you can schedule it, and the downtime is, number one, predictable. We can tell you upfront if you need 28 minutes or 1.5 hours, because it's exactly the same scenario like in the test migrations. So there's no surprise. We can tell you we need the maintenance windows Saturday night. 2 hours will be totally enough, because it's predictable. And number two, by default, it's very short, because as I said, the most time-consuming part is the replication of the data. First, we take a full replica and then incrementals. But the cutover, what do? We just pull the very last incremental and then spin up machines. And we can easily migrate several hundred machines in a single hour. Sounds good?
Sounds
okay.
Too good to be true. So we're looking really forward for some good examples, because I think we're getting our partners now really excited. And I mean, a question I would have, but I don't know if you want to keep it for later, but what I would be really interested now, our partners out there, they would obviously start thinking of like, okay, where do I position, Hystax actually? So what is your experience? Where does it go? Let's say, what's the sweet spot actually at the end? What type of customers we should actually look at, like customers or our partners should look for? Is it customers who are already in the cloud and they want to optimize? Or is it even people who are actually first time moving into the cloud that they would actually team up with you? So what type of client profile do you see is the best way to start with Hystax?
Actually, there's no limitations, because if you are not in a cloud, for migration, obviously the best is they want to move to the cloud, because migration is moving to the cloud or between the clouds or back, hopefully not back. But even if someone is disappointed because someone raised the wrong expectations, we had such a deal last month from AWS back to on-prem. It's also migration. So we don't care about the direction. But obviously for the migration project, those who are want to go to the cloud the first time, it's perfect. But also someone who's using already the cloud, because this is what we see. People who start using a cloud, they use it more and more and more. This is why the bills are increasing consistently, because it's just so simple. And they are shy. They first start moving some dump servers to the cloud where they think this is not really crucial, like banks, you know, they will never use the cloud totally. But remember, 5 years ago, they would have said cloud never, you know, there was cloud never. And now it's cloud too. And the next step will be cloud only for a lot of companies, but not for all of them. So they start moving some things where they say, okay, from privacy and security perspective, we can use the cloud. But then they see, well, maybe we can move this to the cloud as well, and this as well, and this as well. So they are consistently moving more stuff. So if they're already in the cloud, it's also good. And then they want to maybe not put all their eggs in one basket and use another second cloud, because especially for disaster recovery, cross-cloud disaster recovery is reasonable. That if you use a cloud for failure or for disaster, you should use another cloud, you know. So both, whether they are cloud experienced or rookies, doesn't matter. And from a vertical perspective, as long as they have enough, the more servers, the better, obviously, because our business model is based on servers, not the amount of data or how many snapshots they take. It's only about how many VMs, the price per machine, protected or migrated. And obviously, insurance companies, banks, they have thousands of servers, and the hospital maybe only 50. But even 50 servers protected on a monthly basis, it's a nice amount, of course. So we have hospitals in your region which are protected by Hystax. Amrita Hospital, I think it's the name. We have oil and energy companies like Rayscal International. We have all verticals, actually. It really doesn't matter. Okay.
No, that's good, because this is where I see it as well, because I see many times, unfortunately, people feel that cloud has not been working out, because yes, I mean, I think this is always a discussion which partners needs to have with their client as well, where they actually even help educate the finance department, the CFO, the finance managers, in order to understand what is changing. Because yes, people moving into the cloud exactly for what you just mentioned in the beginning, because they wanted to reduce cost, and probably the other benefits of cloud in terms of agility and stuff like this has not been really factored into it. So the first decision is probably by pricing, and they say, oh, instead of like, you know, having that massive capital expenditure and then we actually writing it off over 3 years, that is very linear. So that we don't want to do. So we want to make sure that we actually start using the cloud as we really need it. So pay as you use it. But then it's very fast forgotten. And then they actually forget that, oh, we're using it so much. And they're lacking control. Yes. And I see this, that many times CFOs actually forcing the IT department to go on-prem, because they say, this is easier for me, less headache. I don't need to, be surprised by suddenly seeing my cost forecasting going, down the toilet, basically. Yeah. And, that's where actually those systems are very important. And plus, it gives the power back to the IT managers in order to say, look, listen, I'm not locked up where I am right now. If I start realizing that maybe there are better options, and especially here now in the Middle East with so many data centers opening from the big boys, actually it's a buyer's market right now for people who want to move to the cloud. And obviously having a tool like Hystax is actually giving you all that freedom, and I think it's so important. And I think that, yes, it's more, I think the sweet spot I would see it is really those who are already in the cloud and they want to move somewhere else, they want to optimize. So it's the next level of selling, because yes, initially moving into the cloud, okay, you would go with the native cloud migration tools, the cloud provider of your choice would actually give you. But then how to get out of it, that is the crucial part. And this is where we should take the fear away from clients that, look, listen, don't worry. I mean, we have tools available. We give you the full freedom. You are in control. Don't think like, oh, they have my data and they take me hostage.
Yeah, this is what Upscale is for, because the point is that you lose it's so easy in the cloud to get more resources. Just one click and you have a firewall or a CDN service or whatsoever. And then not losing the control is almost impossible because you start moving it more, using it more and more because it's so easy. And with Upscale, actually, it's we have different tiers, and up to 10 users can use it for free. So even small companies like Hystax itself. So we, of course, for our development, we use some account in Azure, in AWS as well. And we also saw that the invoice is very intransparent, and it makes sense to use Upscale for us as well. And we are 50 people. So everyone can use it, and the smaller ones use it for free. And if they need more features or grow, then they can upgrade, of course. And for bigger companies, according to Gartner, the biggest pain point for enterprises now is the keeping cloud costs under controls. Because if you get an invoice from AWS, it can be this month's amount X dollars, and next month it can be double or triple this amount. There's no guarantee at all, you know. And this forecast is nice, or what you say, to use other clouds as well. But Upscale does also cost projections, so we can show you how much the same resources would cost you somewhere else. So you can go to your cloud provider and say, look here, I would get this at Alibaba, so let's talk about it. You can negotiate, you know, better pricing and things like this. So it's a really, really great tool. Okay, so this is back to the replication very quickly for the techie boys. So this is the flow itself. What is the important takeaway? What I mentioned already, Hystax is integrated in the target cloud. So here we have AWS, and you're not connected to our system. We deploy our solution, which, by the way, is a set of Docker containers orchestrated by Kubernetes and then packed in a single virtual machine, which we call the Hystax controller. This Hystax controller is an instance running in the partners or the customers' AWS, Google, or whatever cloud account. And there, it's a virtual machine, an instance running in his cloud. Here, he has access to the web UI. From the web UI, he can download the agent, deploy it on a source side, and then automatically the agent connects with the controller and starts the replication. We store the snapshots in volumes, as said, and then in case of a cutover or failover, we spin up the machines in an orchestrated way. And also the V2V, P2V transformation is fully automated in the migration process. So here is where the magic happens. Here you can, on the fly, during the failover, change the resources, the flavor, disk size, because 2 CPU on VMware EXI is not the same as 2 CPU on OpenStack, for example. Orchestrated way means, orchestrator, that of course, there are dependencies among the servers, the machines. So you don't want to boot all at the same time. You want to have a certain order. First, for example, the machine with Windows Active Directory. Then as a second machine, the one with Oracle database on it. Next step would be moving the clients to those databases. So all this is done by the orchestrator. The same flow for KVM, because that's the beauty of our solution. It's the same flow that's why we're any-to-any. Replication agent on the source side, Hystax Acura running in a target cloud, and then here we go. Disaster recovery. Let's quickly rush through it. Anatoly, I don't want to steal his part. So it's the same flow for migration. The big points with Hystax, no vendor login. We are in a time in the era of multi-clouds. Who wants to be logged in? This is the specialty of VMware. VMware educated the economy, the industry, how to do vendor login, and no one really likes this. You have to use vCenter, vManager, whatsoever. So with Hystax, you have all the flexibility to jump between the clouds and use the best out of everyone. Agentless replication, very good RPO and RTO, full DR automation, because this means, and that's the difference between backup only, you have not only fully automated failover, but also automated failback later, and not just long-term storage, which is backup. But companies from the backup industry, they know that the customers confuse a little bit the difference between a RDR solution and backup solution. So they pretend, companies like Veritas, they can also do disaster recovery, though this is more a backup solution, you know, so they make use of this. So full DR automation also includes automated failover and failback for most of all. Cross-cloud DR and ready to build solutions also for private cloud. So Hystax coming from the DR field, doing disaster recovery as a service themselves before we founded Hystax, you can use us for any public cloud, also to offer your customers disaster recovery as a service to private clouds, on-premise, and even on pure infrastructure of your customer. If they don't want to use a cloud because they say we would love, but we cannot do because of compliance issues, we can, with the right hardware and our partners and Hystax software, you can offer a fully functional disaster recovery as a service solution with using only the custom infrastructure, like another data center as a failover site, or within the same data center, just another availability zone. And backup, if you can do DR, you can do backup as well. So if you have customers who say, that's very nice, awesome, impressive, all this fully automated failover and failback, but the truth is, I don't need it. I just would like to have my data stored in a very resilient way for the next 20, 50, 100 years with some retention policies. This would already be great. Okay, of course, we can offer this as well. Some name dropping. So since we have the almost unique, there are 2 other companies globally, so not too many, 3 in the whole world, who can do migration and DR to OpenStack and KVM in a fully automated way. A lot of telcos work with us because Telefonica, Orange, T-Systems, also SCC, they use VMware and also OpenStack clouds. And for OpenStack, there are not many options, as I said. Integrators love us because they have one provider, one vendor for all the projects. In the past, they needed to choose which solution, Platesman, Reromedo, was the right for the project, depending on the source, depending on the target side. As we support all platforms, it doesn't matter. Cloud service providers, they like to sponsor the solution, the migration for their customers, because they don't want to sell migrations, they want to sell their cloud services. But often their customers don't know how to migrate. And this is why they say, we do this for you, sponsor it using Hystax, because the earlier they have their partners, their customers using their cloud, the earlier they can build them, obviously. And also some end customers and cloud vendors who work together with us. But now I want to give the stage over to Anatoly. Please, Anatoly, show the portal so that the customers and partners have an idea how the feeling, how it would look like. And yeah, I know it's challenging, but try to make it in 16 minutes.
Okay, good. Okay, one moment. Okay, do you see my screen? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'd like to introduce Acura UI to you. Here you can see that we have some levels in our Acura solution. The first or the top level is a partner level. Partner has customers, can add new customers, manage customers. In our customer pages, we store all other devices what we want to protect. So let's take, for example, our first customer for our demo. It's called Snowdrop, so let's click on it. At the top of my screen, you can see the full stack of our work with Acura. The first step is install agents, then protect machines, configure replication settings, create their plan, run test cloud side, run cloud side, and then run failback. Also,
and for every step, we have a separate video and instructions so that you just have to look at it and then you know how to do it. If we would not give training and assist, so even then you could do it yourself. Every step of this has a separate, not just instruction, knowledge base, but even videos.
Absolutely, yes. So also here you can see that we have some other panels like cloud sites. Here you will see all machines that you run in target cloud using Acura. Also, your plans is just setting for running and creating cloud sites. And the machine groups. In this group, we store all other devices that we want to protect. It's just grouping in Acura. You can group your machines as you wish by operation system, some other business logic, maybe by dating, and so on. So let's start from the first step, install agents. For doing it, we just need to click on big blue button at the left side of my screen, download agents. So let's do it. Because we have partner account, we have access to all customers from this partner. Of course, you can create account for any customer, and this customer will see only its own devices. So let's choose to what customer we want to add our new device. Let it be Snowdrop, and then click Next. Here you can see that we have 2 types of our agents for replicating machines. So the first type of agent is the external agent. If your source environment is VMware, you can use external agent. You just need to download the image of our agent, deploy it to your ESXi or vCenter because it works in Hyper-V level. And then all machines from the same ESXi will be detected by Acura and also will be ready for protection. But if your source environment is not VMware, but for example, Azure, AWS, OpenStack, or even bare metal, you just need to use internal agents, Windows for Windows and Linux for Linux. So let's take, for example, Windows and then click Next. In this step, you can choose to what group you want to add this device in your customer page. So as you remember, we had two groups, default and new group. So let it be default and then click Next. In the latest step of installation agents, you can see that we have only one button, download agents. If you click on it, simple already configured MSI file will be downloaded to your machine. You just need to deploy it to your virtual machine that you want to protect and then make a simple installation. After this, a Windows service will be running in your machine and your machine will be detected by Acura. I'll show you an example. If we go to our customer page and to default group, as you remember, we selected default group. After installation, the new device will appear here with its name and information about this machine. So then, when we finished with installation agents, we can start our first application. For doing it, we just need to click on 3 points button against other machine and click on Start Protection. It means that the full initial application will start. Of course, we use a lot of optimization while replicating. For example, we use deduplication. It means that we don't send the same blocks of data twice. Also, we don't send 0 blocks of data. We use HTTPS for sending data, so you have safety here. Your data is scripted, and we don't see your data. Also, the first application, as I said before, is full or initial application, but the second application is incremental. It means that the second and next application, we take all the changes and deltas and pass it from source to target, so it's very fast thing. Also, because we talk about DR, we have replication settings. So also you can make some settings for your replicating. You just need to click on 3 points button against your machine also, and then click on Edit Replication Settings. So let's do it.
And this you can do for each machine. So it's not for all the machines. So if you have one machine, which is very important, you can set restore point every minute, and for others every 10 hours. So you can really configure the retention and the restore policies individually for each machine.
Absolutely, yes. You can apply these settings for each machine or for group machine. Yes, just click on here, 3 point button against your group name. And then the settings will be applied for all machines in this group. And also for all machines, if you click on machine groups and click on Edit Replication Schedule, so then all these settings will be applied to all machines. So you can do it as you wish. So let's start, for example, from one machine and click on 3 points button and Edit Replication Settings. Here you can schedule how many replication you want to make, for example, any 10 hours, any 10 minutes, any 15 maybe hours, and so on. And if you have very important data in your source machine, you can use continuous data protection. It means that when the previous replication finished, when you will start. And of course, you know, then your target clouds, for example, in OpenStack, AWS, Azure, you have such setting like waters. Yes, how many snapshots, how you can keep in your target cloud, also what storage you can use, and so on. For these cases, we use retention settings. Also, you can apply this settings for one machine, groups machine, or maybe for all machines. Using these settings, you can clarify information how many restore points, snapshots you want to keep in your target cloud. For example, keep the latest, 2 snapshots from the previous day, 3 snapshots from the previous week, and maybe 4 snapshots from the previous month. So also you can apply this information and change this information here and apply it for one machine, root machine, or maybe for all machines. Okay, then we finished with our first application. We can try to create our first dir plan for this machine. For doing it, we just need to choose this machine, click on bulk actions, and then click on generate dir plan. In this case, the new dir plan will appear here. We just need to go and edit it because we have some required fields that we need to clarify for running our cloud site then. One of these fields is flavor name. You know that in your target cloud, you have flavor list. It means what CPU, what RAM, what storage you want to use for running your cloud site in your target cloud. So you just need to choose what flavor you want to use and paste this information here. Of course, also we need information in what subnet and what subnet you want to run your instance into your target cloud. So also you just need to paste this information in this field and also CIDR. If you want to use static IP address, you just need to take IP address from this subnet and paste this information in this field. And also you can clean this field, for example, and then any IP will be taken from this subnet and then will be applied for your machine. You can see here that we have two panels, basic and expert, in this dir plan. Let's click on expert panel, and here you can see that it's just the same dir plan, but in JSON style. And we have very good help documentation where you can find information about what settings we support for using dir plans. For example, if you need some time while booting your machine in your target cloud, you can use boot condition settings and clarify information how many seconds you want to wait for while booting your machine in your target cloud. For example, if you use one dir plan for not only one machine, but for example 2, 3, 5, 10 machines, and if you need to run this machine in some order, you can use ranking, for example, and also clarify this information here. So as I said before, we have very good help documentation where you can find a lot of options that we support in our dir plans. After editing dir plan, you just need to save it. After this, choose it and click on Run Recover. Here you will see another dir plans from the list. So let's click Next. You just need to paste information, what cloud site name you want to use, and then click on Run Recover. It means that in 3 minutes for Linux and 5 minutes for Windows, the new instance in your target cloud will be running. You can go check it and use it, of course. After running cloud site, the new cloud site will appear here. You will see its states, that everything is okay. You can check it and check that it works fine. So also we have a fallback in our dir solution. So what does it mean? For example, if you protect your machine, if you protect your source machine to your target cloud for some time, and if something happens with your source machine, you can run cloud site and then continue work with the target instance. When you fix all your problems with your source machine, you just you can run fallback, and then all changes, all data from your target instance will be taken and passed to source and applied, and then you can continue work with your source machine. Just switch off your target instance. So also in our Acura portal, we have very good reports. So you can find and generate reports about information, machine state reports, for example, or maybe DR reports. So just choose type of report. You can also add new own report types and click on generate report. Here you will see all information about process in your Acura for any customer how many migrations and how many protection will be taken for all customers, or maybe for any customer that you can choose here, from start date to end date. Also events, here you will see all events that you have in your Acura solution. If something happens with your source machine, you will see and you will get this information here. Acura will warn you about if something happens. For example, if your source machine was switched off, or maybe it was crashed, so you will see this information here if something happens with your source machine. Also, if you don't have enough free space for running close sites, you also see all this information here. Settings, in our settings, as I said before, you can add, you can edit the existing role, and if you need to restrict some options, or maybe to add some rights for your partner account, maybe to create some your customer accounts, you can also restrict and give some rights for your customer. When you add a new role, you can go to user and also add new user with its login, password, choose what role you want to use, and then give this account data to your customer for using it. Also have a very good notification. You just need to add your name, email, choose what type of events you want to receive in your email, and also all this information will be sent to your email, and you can control all processes that you have in your Acura solution. And also we have very good help documentation with we have a lot of answers for all your questions, and of course, if you have some other questions, you can ask us, our team. We're always ready to help you. So, Edwin.
Perfect. 15 minutes. Okay, so we can hand over then also to Mario for a last word. So from my side, thank you again for your interest. I hope it was interesting. So you see the portal obviously is user-friendly, it's multi-tenant, and because we are partner-centric, it works. So everything we've shown today is field-proven, it's available, and can be used at scale. So this was a focus on the DR and the migration. I understood a little bit that this upscale, the cloud cost control, budgeting, and forecast stuff is very interesting. Maybe, Mario, we should think about a separate webinar only about upscale. Think about it, please. From my side, I said it was an honor to present in front of your partners and customers. And now the final word goes to you. You're mute.
Mario, we don't hear you. You're muted, yes.
Still, sorry.
Still, we don't hear you.
That's live, guys. That's live. So, oh, that's a pity, really. But okay. Hey, I'm sure that you only wanted to say the best, of course. How lovely everything was, and how sweet, and you are happy to partner with Hystax. And I can only give it back to you. We are very happy to work with VAD. Because some inside information, maybe, you know, I'm quite sure that you guys also resell maybe Veeam, you know, they're really #1 in backup and big company. And we just met with one of the founders some months ago, because there are some connections between our founder and their founders. And they said after Cloud and Door was bought by AWS, now Hystax by far, and he should know, because as I said, Veeam, quite big company. The founder's a billionaire. We have now the best, the most sophisticated solution for DR and the migration on the market. We just need to do some more marketing so that everyone gets aware of it. And this is why we do this webinar now with VAD and other stuff, to do exactly this, so that people know how awesome Hystax is. And yeah, so let's crack on. And I expect a lot of emails and requests to Mario and his team. Thank you very much. 1 hour's over. Bye-bye. Have a nice one.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a good day. See you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.